Hello everyone and welcome to another Queen Cream video. As the title of this video suggests, I attended the Borderlands 4 Fan Fest right here in LA this weekend, and oh my god, do I have some thoughts? Girl, it was so fun. Okay, before I get into all the nitty-gritty details and spill all about the pop-up, let me give some background on me as a Borderlands fan so you can at least kind of understand where I'm coming from with my opinions, as well as sort of my mindset, as well as going into the event. To sort of get this out of the way and classify myself within like the fan timeline here, I'm definitely like a new age fan of Borderlands. I never really played like 1, 2, pre-sequel, or any of those spin-offs or anything. I really came into the scene with Borderlands 3. My best friend, if you watch my Twitch streams, you know him as Lil Arson48, is a mega super Borderlands fan, like very akin to how I am with Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat. You know. If you watch the channel on my Twitch, you know. So when Borderlands 3 came out in 2019, he of course wanted me as well as the whole friend group to play with, so that was my introduction and sort of framework for what the franchise is, if that makes sense. I never really considered playing Borderlands in the past because maybe it seemed like a game that was out of my comfort zone or just not quite up my alley, per se. I am lucky that when I did get into it, I had a friend who would act as this like guide, not just in the narrative sense, but also the gameplay and kind of helping me along the way with those questions I had that you couldn't quite Google. So it was nice to have somebody who could walk me through the franchise in a way that I still could make my own choices and play the game how I wanted, but just there to fill in the gaps and ask questions about like the little things, if that makes sense. So I'm happy I had him as well as the group to get through Borderlands 3. I ended up really enjoying the game and becoming a fan of that iconic, like sweet looter shooter gameplay. The story, specifically of Borderlands 3, does not really do anything for me. Listen, I love, and I mean love, a good story-based video game, but I fear this one in specific was just not quite for me. I'm all about the fun, addictive gameplay. Plus, I know Borderlands 3 has this cheeky sort of like toilet humor that is not for me. I know it's not necessarily the rest of the series like bread and butter, but it's not it for me. I don't care for it. I don't care for it. Listen, I'm a drag queen. I love vulgar humor. Yes. This is not that. This is just like brain dead elementary school playground style of writing. So the story of Borderlands 3 is not for me. With that, I don't really know the story of the other games, other than a handful of broad points I've heard discussed throughout the years in media and with friends, YouTube videos, etc. So with Borderlands 4, I really am going into the story mode somewhat blind, and really will be just kind of taking everything at face value. I did sink about 100 hours into BL3, at least according to my PlayStation. I beat the story multiple times with every character, flak mains, rise up, I beat all the DLCs, you know, the whole 9 yards. I had tons of fun farming legendaries, and some of my all-time favorite gaming moments are with friends in Borderlands 3. So that is sort of the lens I'm approaching with as I played Borderlands 4 this weekend, and will be approaching the game once it officially launches in a few months. Alright, with kind of my background out of the way, just to give an idea of where I'm coming from, let's get into the event. Now this event was a little different. They announced it a bit back and just simply said tickets available soon, with no price information or really any other details. Cut to the tickets becoming available, and not only are they free, it's a lottery. You have to get picked to go. The only details the form/application, whatever you want to call it, asked for was a name and social media handles. I pretty much in my mind wrote off being able to even go to this event at that point because I've lived in LA for a bit now, and this just screams influencer event. They want to invite people with big social media presences, big followings, who will give them free press and advertising. Now, despite my best efforts, I only have less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, which, by the way, go check out my work over there and maybe we can get that number up. And only a handful of loyal subscribers on Twitch and YouTube. I thought for sure I had absolutely zero shot at getting selected to attend, as did my bestie. The form also said that if we were selected, we'd get an email, otherwise we just wouldn't hear anything. We both filled the form out, we had our friends fill the form out, and I had my boyfriends even do it too so we could maximize our chances at getting selected. But absolutely nothing. Zilch, nada, we didn't get shit. Cut to the day before the event. So the Fan Fest was on Saturday the 21st, so literally on June 20th, one of my boyfriends tells me he decided to check his spam folder and he got an invitation almost a week ago. So naturally, me and Lil Arson do the same thing, start freaking out, getting excited. And at first I'm all sad because it's only one ticket. And he's like, well, wait, did you get one too? And I'm like, oh my God, big brain play. Let me check the spam folder. He checks his, he didn't get anything, nothing. I check my spam folder and lo and behold, an email from 2K Games inviting me to the event. So of course, we register immediately. Get our parking passes and event details. Now it says admission not guaranteed. It also said not to line up at the door before the doors open, but to show up like promptly when the event started at noon. This information will definitely come back up in a bit. We get our tickets and just sort of hope. We get excited, but not too excited because I've been to pop-ups like this before, and sometimes shit just happens that you could never fathom or foresee causing a wrench in the plan, you know? So until we are physically in that room, like inside the event, I had my hopes low. They were down. Day of the event, we get there pretty much right at noon, like the instructions said, and the line isn't really that insane. First of all, not only was the parking free in Los Angeles, downtown no less, but it was so well coordinated in terms of signage and staff just like guiding you, directing you where to go. The event overall was so impressively and well organized, but I'll go into that more later. As you can see in these pictures I took, they had this awesome mural plastered on the entrance of the building. The line outside only had a handful of turn gates too. So we wait in line, and once the doors opened at noon, the line was moving super steady. We're cruising along really well, and then maybe 15-ish people before we get into the doors of the building, the line comes to a stop for a pretty decent chunk of time too, like about 45, 50 minutes before we started moving at all, even a little bit. Well, as we were standing in the line, we got notifications on YouTube that Borderlands 4 had dropped the story trailer, and we're like, what? So, of course, it was at that point we realized that there was a whole ass live stream going on, and there was a little small showcase from Randy and stuff inside, like in the building we were right there for. So, unfortunately, we did not get to watch that presentation from inside because we were still in line despite being 12 feet from the stage it was happening on. So we had to watch on our phones on YouTube. So unfortunately, we didn't get to see that part. But stay with me here. We got in eventually, obviously. Room at this point is at capacity. So basically all we just have to wait for is chunks of people to leave, so they'll allow another chunk of people to leave. It seemed like they were doing like groups of like 15, 20 at a time. It wasn't just like 2 people leave, 2 people in. It was like, okay, the room is down capacity. Let's let another chunk in. Now, in the event info, it detailed the event lasting from noon to 5, with the latest point of entry being 3:30 p.m. It's about 2:45 when we are finally at the front of the line, like getting ready, like almost in. And they're giving out these wristbands with a little LED in them that would flash when it was your turn to go play test the game for 30 minutes. You see the staff handing them out and getting these people checked in with the little list and everything. And they're right in front of us going down the line. And of course, you know, we're doing that thing where we're like mentally trying to do the math and count if they have enough bands by the time they get to us. Well, would you fucking believe that when it came down to us, me and my best friend and I, a party of 2, they only had 1 bracelet left. 1 band. Only 1 person could get it. And of course, with Lil Arson being the super fan of Borderlands that he is, I was like, dude, you got to take that shit. Like, go in. And at first he was like, no, I want to do it together. Maybe we should just leave. And I'm like, no. Like, you are not local to LA like I am. You came here for this. Like, go in. Get it. Go in there. I'm like, you got to take that shit. We continue. So he goes in. I am the literal first person in line. If they let another round of people even in, the staff straight up said that they were not sure if they were even going to be doing another round because of how full the event was and whatnot. So my admission to the event was an if, not a when. And because I was first in line, there were still people behind me. So mind you, there's still plenty of people who most likely didn't even get into the event, just waiting in line. About a half hour later, literally at 3:31, they come back and do one last round. I get in and all is well in the world. So like I said, I've been to a handful of pop-ups before. I went to the Scream 6 Bodega pop-up in Santa Monica when that happened a couple years back when the movie was coming out. I went to a Mortal Kombat 1 pop-up when that was coming out. A few others here and there too. When I tell you that the event's scale and scope blew me away. First of all, you go up to one of those, I think they're called step and repeat banners, you know, those promotional backdrops with like the logo printed all over them for photo ops. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them on red carpets and shit. Then you go through this neat little neon hallway leading to a room plucked right out of the Borderlands. There's all these props and decorations, and it's just really decked out. What blew my mind right away was this area in the corner set up entirely for the big time streamers that were invited. They each had their own little PC set up, mouse, keyboard with a ring light for them, a face cam, and everything. As someone who streams for funsies and to a relatively small audience, that was insane and mind-boggling for me to see. It was like goals. They also had these large, human-sized statues of all the main vault hunters for Borderlands 4. Those statues were created by Thingerg, based out of Burbank, and oh my god, are they fucking beautiful! Like, detailed-ass recreations of these characters that will surely go on to be iconic and at least beloved throughout the game's life cycle. There was also a photographer taking professional photos, no limit, with them. And I couldn't believe also that they had a printer on site so you could take home as many as you wanted. If you didn't want to just have them digitally. Again, all free. He took plenty of photos of us. We got to print out a bunch each, so we each have our own copies of a few of them. Amazing. I thought that was so awesome and such a fun souvenir experience for the fans who attended. And the fact that it was all free in this economy. Speaking of free, there was actually quite a bit of food and drinks available at the event. They had these adorable little cookies with the vault symbol on them, along with some brownies. They had mini pizzas, sliders, falafel balls, and a few other things too. Like, kind of nice to feed people like that. They had fridges all around the space, sodas, energy drinks, waters that you could just walk up to and take at any time. I was like, surely they charge for that. Nope, you could just go get yourself a drink whenever you wanted. Tell me living in a major metropolitan city has rotted your concept of the dollar without telling me. Even better than the fridges, though, was the fact that they had a little bar of mocktails. 3 non-alcoholic mixed drinks themed around the game. In my head, I'm just thinking, oh, how nice they made juice for us. But no, these were like full-on mixed drinks. Girl, I watched them pour sparkling water into it. She put the little lime in there, put a little mint in there, mixed it up. I was like, okay. Bitch, I thought I was straight up at the club partying in a precinct for a minute. There was the corrosive, which I got, which was sort of this like citrusy sparkling water situation that I did enjoy. Lil Arson got the slaughterhouse, which was sort of this like fruity pomegranate moment. And then there was one other one called the Ain't No Roast for the Wicked, which had like coconut milk and stuff inside, but I didn't get to try that one. But I thought it was pretty cool and impressive, especially for free, that they had that going on and like bartenders making it. All over the room were these glass cases full of props from the games, as well as from the movie, as well as fan creations, like things that other people have made. Some of the most gorgeous cosplays I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about comic books, old Gearbox relics, psycho masks, concept art, and whatever the hell this thing is. I don't think Randy Pitchford was really walking around talking to people so much, but other Gearbox execs that I definitely don't know the names of, my apologies, and industry people were, which was really fun and interactive. I definitely saw groups of people just chatting it up with developers about what it was like to work on Borderlands 4 as well as the past series. These things were littered all over the place, so it was very awesome to see up close, as well as adding to the ambiance and overall just general vibe of the experience. Another cool station they had was this device that took a photo of you and used AI to paint your portrait that of the art style in the game. Here's mine and Lil Arson's. They're kind of wild, but also very accurate and stylized. I'm wondering what exactly they relate to, though. It reminds me of something out of Far Cry, like a spray-painted portrait or a painted mural of some kind. I assume we'll be seeing those around Kairos. On the flip side, hopefully this means that Borderlands 4 is not using AI art to populate its world. One can hope, but fingers crossed. So as I mentioned, they were giving out these bands with an LED that would flash when it was your turn to go play the game. In one corner, they had all these PCs set up that people could walk up to and play. I don't even think there were chairs. When your bracelet lit up, you would go get in line over there. Well, also, at like the opposite kitty corner end of the room, there was another area, like all decked out with a few PCs and chairs. We walked by it a few times and it was hard to tell if they were playing Borderlands 4 or if they were playing another Borderlands, because there was one singular TV and couch combo in the middle of the whole room where you could play Borderlands 1. And anyway, at some point, we did everything else, and we were just waiting our turn for the bands to flash. We walked up to that room, and I was like, let's go see what's going on in there. I straight up walked up to the staff who was like guarding the door and was like, hey, what's going on in this room? He said, oh, they're just some PCs set up for people to play the game. So Lil Arson was like, oh, so what's the difference between this room and the one over there with the bracelets? And the guy just responds, honestly, nothing at this point. We actually have 2 open spots if you guys want to play right now. Obviously, we were like, fuck yeah, and hopped right on. Not only was it cool that we got to play the game right then and there, completely bypassing these bracelets, but they happen to have 2 computers directly next to each other open, so we literally got to play the game together. Like, I mean, we were hooked up, hardwired into the same match. I get to play Borderlands 4 with my best friend at this event, like in the same match. We were in together, talking to each other through the headsets that were provided, killing shit. It was so freaking cool. I thought we were gonna each have like our own little 30-minute experience and then kind of just talk about it after, like rendezvous after and debrief. But no, we were in it, baby. Now, knowing we only had 30 minutes, I just wanted to hop in and play. I only spent maybe a minute looking at my build, the skill tree, the inventory, you know. We were able to manipulate the skill tree, but I truly just wanted to shoot things and just feel the gameplay, like just see how it feels. I only briefly looked over the inventory and weaponry before just going for it. I'm also not much of a PC gamer yet, but who knows, maybe if this YouTube channel takes off, I can afford one. So getting used to a mouse and keyboard also took like a second. I'm not entirely unfamiliar to it, but it's not nature to me. Right away, the number one thing I feel great is that the UI and overall just look of this game is exceptionally better than Borderlands 3. I feel like BL3 menus and HUD are reminiscent of a PS3, Xbox 360 game. And don't get me wrong, it isn't necessarily bad, it's just busy. There's a lot of blue on blue text, some strange anti-aliasing going around in some parts, and overall just challenging for my brain to visually process, especially when the game is so fast-paced and you need to adjust inventory and whatnot on the fly. The Borderlands 4 UI is just so much easier to visually process, for me. Like, I truly cannot gush about it enough. I suspected from the trailers that it was going to be like that, but after not only playing it myself, but also after playing Borderlands 3 on stream yesterday, girl, it's night and day. It's night and day. I am obsessed with the way it all looks in Borderlands 4 because it still has that zany, characteristic, and distinctly Borderlands feel to it. I genuinely think having a cleaner inventory layout, text to read, and just all that stuff associated with the menus and HUD will make me better at the game. I find the BL3 ones so hard to navigate sometimes that I actively miss what things do or say, as well as core mechanics. The clunk is gone. The mission we jumped into was the pretty standard kill enemies objective to proceed. There were some jump pads going from floating rock to floating rock. We fought some crazy enemies, which very much one of them was giving Raiden, the Thunder God. badass enemies, fucking us up and sending the shots right back. You can only pick between two characters, Vex the Siren and Rafa the Exo Soldier. Lil Arson chose Rafa, so I cannot speak too much to what his gameplay is like, but I of course chose Vex. I have to say, I really enjoy her gameplay. I was not particularly a fan of Amara's gameplay in BL3. It was fine. I enjoyed all her floaty powers and shit, but it didn't quite hit for me. Vex, on the other hand, is right up my alley, baby. She was almost like a mix of the Beastmaster and a Siren. I kept being able to summon a Reaper or a Scepter that would go out and start hacking and slashing enemies with the scythe. I fucking loved being able to sick that Grim Reaper ass motherfucker on people while I lit him up from behind. I loved too how the Reaper was changing based on what elements my guns were. So sometimes it was yellow, sometimes it was blue. Either way, it was out there killing shit. I can't lie, I don't fully understand the ordnance mechanic just yet, but I do know that mine was a big old rocket launcher that made a whole bunch of boom booms, so best believe I was using that every chance I got. I think due to the mission area, they were kind of like these floating rocks in like a cave almost, so I think just due to that, we didn't get to try out too much of the new movement mechanics. Like, I wasn't really able to summon a vehicle on the fly or anything. There was a few grapple opportunities, but there was also the jump pads connecting each rock. So we were kind of just going between them, and there wasn't too much space to explore. The movement felt so smooth and on the rails, definitely an elevation from BL3. I can already feel how addicted I'm gonna get when this game drops. It just felt so nice and fluid. Very intuitive, too. It's overall not that much different from BL3, but it just feels so much more polished in every way. Fight for Your Life is of course back and feels so nice to score. The last thing I'll say about the gameplay is that this time around, the weapon descriptions straight up tell you the weapon's gimmick. I cannot even tell you how much I appreciate that. Half the fun of all these gajillion guns is their unique quirks and gimmicks that make them uniquely shine. Being able to just instantly know will make deciding what weapons to use so much easier for me. I can already see so many moments in the future where I get a legendary or something, I read a weapon's gimmick, and absolutely freak out, and I'm like, equip immediately, yes, yes, yes. Even if it's a bad weapon, like I just gotta try it out, you know? That's pretty much how my whole experience with the event went. As we were leaving, a band was playing on stage with a DJ and everything, so a whole ass free concert. If you couldn't tell, I am extremely excited for this game, even more so than I was before. After having a taste of what's to come, I find it insanely hard to go back to BL3. Overall, I think we're in good hands, and the future of this franchise is gonna be okay. If you have any more questions about it, and the event itself, the game that I didn't address here, let me know down in the comments, and I'll happily respond and tell you all about my little experience. Check out some of my other videos. I'm currently covering Resident Evil 9 Requiem, as all the trailers and news drops on that game, and I've reacted to a couple movies, and I'm always yapping about COD zombies in some way or another. If you want to follow me and my drag, check out my Instagram, subscribe to this channel so you always know when I post something new. Until next time, bye bye!